أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear students, welcome to you all in the virtual learning system, Pakistan International School, Taif. Dear students, we are going to start the chapter number 3. This is the grade 12 subject Pakistan culture. We will start today the chapter number 3, architecture and historical monuments. This is lecture number 10 and I am Muhammad Yunus, your subject teacher. Dear students, the chapter number 3, the topic is architecture and historical monuments. First of all, you must know what is meant by architecture. Dear students, architecture is the art of science, or you can say the process or the product of planning, designing, constructing of the buildings. And when we want to construct a building, then we make a plan, then we make the design of the building, and all those steps which are taking to make the beautiful that building that is known as the architectures. We will study here about the architecture and especially the Islamic architecture. Islamic architecture started in AD 622 with the construction of the house and the mosque of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, at Medina. It was an exceedingly simple dwelling but contained germs of the future mosque plan. The house consisted of a mud brick enclosure with the portico on the south side and small huts with open into the courtyard against the outer side of the east wall. The houses on that time which were constructed that have the open space on all sides, and that open space was covered with the roof with the help of some pillars that was the form of portico, or in other way we can say the veranda, and it means the open space, or sometime it is in front of the building and sometime it is on the back side, right side or left side, anywhere. In the southwest corner of the courtyard was a primitive shelter similar to the portico on the south side. Traces of this domestic use can still be detected in the development mosque scheme, as it is basically an open courtyard surrounded by a pillared veranda. So it means on that time there was the open space was more than the, you can say, covered area, and that open space was, you can say, supported by the pillars, so that that can be used as a room. Dear student, in the course of time, however, this simple plan was elaborated and the mosque developed its principal features such as courtyard, lawns, fountains, prayer hall, recessed niche, it means the mihrab, screen, maksura, pulpit, member, facade are the minarets. So this facade also you can say that is also open space or the open area in front of the building. So these are all the characteristics, or you can say the principles, or you can say the properties of the mosque. Dear student, mihrab was first introduced by Umar bin Abdul Aziz, who was the eighth caliph of Umayyad dynasty, When he rebuilt the mosque in accordance with the instruction of Al-Walid, who was the sixth caliph of Banu Umayyah Sultanate, first reference to the construction. Similarly, our first reference to the construction of minarets belongs to the time of Caliph Muawiyah, who was the first caliph of Umayyad dynasty. Then after the four caliphs, this you can say Khilafat was you can say set up and which was started by Muawiyah Abu Sufyan. Dear students, the governor of Egypt to build a minaret for the call to prayer. First of all, the purpose of minarets to build in the mosque was to say the adhan, to call for prayer. First mosque at Kufa was founded in AD 638. And first of all, the mosque was, you can say, in Medina was constructed. That was also a good example of Islamic art, and that was very, you can say, the simple. That was, you can say, constructed with mud, bricks, and the leaves of the trees. Dear students, the Persian type of the mosque is distinguished than mosque of Syria. So after that, then when the Islam spread all over the world, in the different area, the mosques were also constructed there. This form of the building art, with first introduced early in the 18th century in Sindh, was still passing through its revolutionary stages in its new habitat of different environments and climate. It stood in marked contrast to the indigenous architectural form, particularly the temple. So this mosque was also constructed, and that was also a good sign, good symbol, or you can say good example of the Islamic architecture. Nothing indeed reveals more vividly that difference between the creeds, philosophy, and aesthetic sense of the Muslims on the one hand and Hindus on the other hand, their respective places of the worship represented by the mosque and the temple respectively. And these are also the good examples of the architectures. The Muslims, you can say, construct the mosque for the worship, and the Hindus, you can say, construct the temple for their own worships. So on that time, these were also, you can say, the good example of architecture. The last phase of the Islamic architecture took form in the South Asian subcontinent in the description given below are shall only be able to get a brief view of the architectural heritage of Pakistan. Dear students, here we will discuss about the following architecture and the historical monuments, especially in Pakistan. First of all, Multan tombs. There are many tombs of the saints which were constructed according to the Islamic architecture. Number two, we will discuss about the Lahore Fort, which is located in Lahore. Then we will study about Shalimar Garden. That is also, you can say, a good example of the Muslim architecture. Then we will study about the tombs of Kalhora and Talpur rulers, and that is Hyderabad. Then we will study about the Khyber Pass. That is a, you can say, a pathway which connects Pakistan and Afghanistan. So all these are the good examples of architecture which were designed, which were framed, which were planned by the Muslims, and they are, you can say, the good example of architecture. Dear students, first of all, we will discuss about the Multan tombs. Actually, tombs are, you can say, are those, you can say, graves of the saints, or you can the pious people who did work for the preaching and spreading of Islam in the different areas. So Multan is also the center of the, you can say, saint, and it is also known as the Madinatul Awliya. The buildings and the tombs which were constructed there, they are also the good example of the Muslim architecture. Brick building tradition in Punjab, of which Multan forms a part, has a long history which goes back to the 3rd millennium BC. Over the countries, not only the art of bricklaying was perfected, but the special type of architecture with its own distinctive decorative features was also evolved, which strongly persisted even when the Mughals introduced stone buildings in various centers of Punjab. Dear students, all these you can say the tombs which are constructed there, they are also the good example of the Muslim architectures, and they shows the art of the people of that time, and especially in the period of the Mughal dynasty, they can say constructed many buildings in the Pakistan, which were the you can say good example of their own art. Dear students, there is a group of buildings of a very fine quality in Multan, which throw some useful light on the style that immediately succeeded it. The group is represented by an entire new class of building, the mausoleum, introduced in the subcontinent by the Muslims. Dear students, the earliest of this group is the tomb of Shah Yusuf Gardezi. He was also a saint, and you can see just like the mosque and the tombs and you can say graves of these peoples are you can say decorative with the calligraphy and also with the architecture and with the planning and designing like this. We read that it was built about AD 1152. This simple brick built one-storied and flat-roof building in plan and stands within an enclosed courtyard. Its four vertical walls are remarkably devoid of any relief except a small oblong projection which accommodates the entrance and the mihrab in the interior. You can see the first thing, and that is a very important thing, the arches which are you can say draw on these mihrab, they are from longitude to latitude because the Islamic buildings have the specific structures in their designing and planning. Dear students, the rest of town in Multan belong to Sheikh Bahabuddin Zakaria, Shadna Shahid, Shah Shams Tabrezi, Shah Rukn Alam. These are also the you can say important saints, and their graves and their tombs are also situated in Multan city. And Multan is a you can say a city of this Punjab province, and Yusuf Shah Gardezi. Dear students, all are tombs made of brick with a certain amount of woodwork. These are built in three tiers and form a separate subgroup, which shows a marked development on the earlier tomb architecture. The first three tombs are square in plan with an octagonal second story topped by a hemispherical dome. Octagonal it means just like octagonal shape. They have the octagonal shape like maybe eight you can say sides. The domes were constructed within a short span of 15 years. The tomb of Sheikh Bahaduddin Zakaria, the ugliest of the series, is a monument of great strength and distinction. The chief element of its beauty, however, lies in its strict plainness and purposeful strength. So all these tombs have, you can say, different style of the designing, architecting, and you can see the planning. Dear students, half a century later, when the Multan builders were once again called upon to undertake the construction of a mausoleum, this time for the famous saint Shah Rukn Alam, they knew precisely what to do. Unlike the other three examples of this group, the tomb of Shah Rukn Alam is octagonal in plan. The tomb of Shah Rukn Alam was built by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. That is also, you can say, on time of his time, he was also like the rule. Dear students, although of brick foundation, its appearance is considerably enhanced by bands of carved timbering sunk into the wall at appropriate intervals. Dear students, sometimes you can see the designing is done on the timber or the wood also. Sometimes they are carved and sometimes their writing and you can say their designing is appeared up. Just as Shah Rukn Alam had a lasting influence upon the mind of millions, his tomb set an example for the subsequent generation of the builders. So when we are seeing now the art and design of these, you can say the tombs, the peoples are understanding on that time the such type of people were also present who have the art of the, you can say, planning, designing and constructing the buildings. Dear students, you can see the picture of the tombs of Multan, just like you can see Shah Bahabuddin, Sheikh Bahabuddin, Zakaria Multani's tomb, and Shah Rukn Alam. This is the tomb of Shah Rukn Alam. If you will, Shah Yusuf Gardezi, and this is the Shah Shams Tabriz. If you can, you will see very keenly, you can see the different designing and style of the constructing the building. That is, you can say, very important to look it, and you can see that these are also very complicated designs of the buildings. So this type of the architectures on that time, the Muslims were had their own skill and the art. Dear student, this is the end of the today lecture. Here is the homework. You will write the short question and answer on your notebook. Question number one, name any five tombs of Multan. Number two, you can write the name of the tombs of the Multan. Number two, write about the tombs of Sheikh Shah Rukn Alam. And you will write a brief note here. Number three, what are the characteristics of architecture used in the Multan tombs? Number four question, what is the origin of Islamic architecture? Question number five, what are the principal features of the mosque? Here you will write all the principal feature of the mosque. Dear students, thank you for watching the today lecture. Goodbye.